Before you choose, understand this: the cat you feel drawn to is not random. In a few seconds, you'll see 4 different cats, numbered from 1 to 4. They may look similar at first glance, but your mind will not react to them the same way. One of them will stand out, and that instant reaction, that quiet pull, says more about your inner emotional world than you might expect. Carl Jung believed that what we are unconsciously attracted to reveals hidden parts of our personality, parts we don't always see clearly, so don't overthink it, don't analyze. Just notice which cat makes you pause, which one feels familiar, which one feels safe or intriguing, because by the end of this video, you might understand something about yourself that has always been there, quietly shaping your choices. This is not a test about right or wrong. There is no better option. Every choice carries insight. Every number reveals a different emotional pattern, a different psychological tendency, a different way of navigating loneliness, connection, confidence, and vulnerability. Jung called this the language of the unconscious, the silent dialogue between what we show the world and what we keep hidden inside. So as you look at these 4 cats, pay attention to your first instinct. The one you pick may reflect a feeling you embrace, or one you've been avoiding. Stay until the end, because once you hear what your choice represents, you may start seeing your own behavior and even your relationships through a completely new lens. Before we go any further, pause for a moment. What I'm about to say may explain feelings you've had but never found words for. If you've noticed the same situations repeating, the same blocks showing up, or a quiet sense that something is trying to get your attention, this matters. There's a personalized intuitive reading created to help you understand why certain doors haven't opened yet, what's currently blocking your momentum, and what you need to see before making your next move. This isn't about belief or promises, it's about clarity, timing, and awareness. Many people gain insights that immediately change how they approach their decisions, relationships, and daily life. The link is in the pinned comment. Keep watching, because what you're about to hear connects directly to this and may answer questions you didn't even realize you were asking. If you chose cat number 1, you were drawn to quiet intensity. This cat doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't perform, it observes. Sitting still, eyes alert, body relaxed but ready, it carries a presence that feels calm on the surface, yet deeply aware underneath. According to Carl Jung, what attracts us often mirrors a part of our psyche that seeks expression. Choosing this cat suggests a strong connection with introspection. You likely think more than you speak. You analyze more than you reveal. In social situations, you may appear composed, even distant. But internally, your mind is constantly processing patterns, motives, and subtle shifts in energy. You read the room without announcing that you are doing it. And sometimes, that silent awareness makes you feel slightly separate from others, as if you're watching life through a window instead of standing fully inside it. Jung spoke about the observer archetype, the part of us that steps back to understand before acting. Cat number 1 reflects that psychological stance. You are not impulsive by nature. You hesitate, not because you are weak, but because you value understanding over reaction. However, this strength has a shadow. The more you observe without participating, the easier it becomes to emotionally isolate yourself. You might struggle with vulnerability. You might prefer self-sufficiency over asking for help. You may even convince yourself that you don't need deep connection, when in reality you crave it quietly. The lesson here is balance. Awareness is power, but life is not meant to be experienced only from a distance. Growth happens when the observer occasionally steps forward and risks being seen. If cat 1 felt safe to you, it may be because you recognize that same guarded independence within yourself. Jung believed that integrating the shadow, the parts of us we suppress, is essential for wholeness. Your shadow might be emotional exposure, letting others see uncertainty, admitting that you don't have everything figured out. The calm exterior you maintain is admirable, but it should not become a wall. This cat teaches strategic patience, yes, but also selective courage. There are moments when stepping out of analysis and into action transforms everything. Not reckless action, conscious action, intentional vulnerability, choosing connection even when it feels uncomfortable. That is where your next level of personal evolution lives. So if you chose cat number 1, your path is not about becoming louder or more dramatic. It's about softening the armor just enough to let real connection in. Your strength is perception. Your growth lies in participation. And when awareness and presence finally work together instead of separately, you don't just understand life, you experience it fully. If you chose cat number 2, you were drawn to emotional warmth. This cat doesn't sit in the shadows observing from a distance. It leans forward. Its eyes are softer, its posture more open, almost inviting. There's something approachable about it, something that feels familiar, comforting, maybe even protective. Carl Jung believed that what attracts us often reflects the emotional energy we either embody or deeply long for. Choosing this cat suggests that connection is not just important to you, it is central to how you experience life. You likely value relationships, loyalty, and emotional resonance. You notice tone changes. You sense when someone's mood shifts. You care, sometimes more than you admit, and that sensitivity is not weakness. It is awareness tuned to human emotion. Jung described the concept of the feeling function, the psychological ability to evaluate experiences based on values and emotional meaning rather than pure logic. Cat number 2 represents someone who makes decisions guided by inner alignment. You don't just ask, does this make sense? You ask, does this feel right? In relationships, you may naturally become the listener, the mediator, the one who checks in. People often trust you quickly. They open up around you. But here's the shadow side Jung warned about. When your identity becomes too attached to being the supportive one, you can lose sight of your own unmet needs. You may overextend. You may tolerate emotional imbalance longer than you should. You might even fear disappointing others more than you fear disappointing yourself. Choosing a cat who may reveal that you are deeply empathetic but also prone to emotional overinvestment. Jung believed that growth happens when we differentiate ourselves from the roles we unconsciously adopt. If you always become the caregiver who takes care of you, if you are always understanding, when do you demand to be understood? This cat's lesson is not to harden your heart. It is to strengthen your boundaries. Emotional intelligence must be paired with self-compassion must include yourself. True connection is mutual, not one-sided. There is also courage in your choice. In a culture that often rewards detachment and hyper-independence, choosing warmth is powerful. It means you value depth over performance, meaning over status, presence over appearance. But Jung would remind you, integration is key. Keep your openness, it is a gift. Just don't let it turn into self. When empathy and boundaries coexist, your relationships stop draining you and start nourishing you. So if cat number 2 felt right, your strength lies in emotional depth. Your growth lies in remembering that your feelings deserve the same care you so freely give to others. Connection is your language. Just make sure you are included in the conversation. If you chose cat number 3, you were drawn to energy. This cat isn't still. It's mid-movement, maybe turning its head sharply, maybe about to leap, maybe staring straight ahead with bold intensity. There's something alive about it, alert, decisive. It doesn't wait for permission to exist. According to Carl Jung, the images that activate us emotionally often mirror a dominant force within our psyche. Choosing this cat suggests that action, momentum, and forward motion are central themes in your personality. You are likely someone who struggles more with stagnation than with chaos. Stillness can feel uncomfortable to you. You prefer progress over perfection. You would rather try and adjust than hesitate and overanalyze. Jung described a psychological drive toward individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are by separating from expectations, labels, and inherited patterns. Cat number 3 represents that impulse toward self. You may have a strong need to carve your own path. You don't isolely conform just because others are doing something. When you sense limitation, you instinctively push against it. People may describe you as independent, ambitious, or even intense. And intensity is not accidental here. It often comes from a deep internal pressure to prove something to yourself more than to anyone else. You don't like feeling small. You don't like feeling controlled. So you move, you act, you initiate. But Jung always warned that every strength carries a shadow. The shadow of constant motion is avoidance. When you're always moving forward, you rarely pause long enough to process unresolved emotions. Productivity can become a shield. Achievement can become a distraction. You might fear slowing down because stillness forces you to confront questions you've postponed. Are you chasing growth? Or are you running from vulnerability? Are you building something meaningful? Or simply staying busy to avoid feeling stuck? Cat number 3 teaches power, but it also teaches awareness of why that power is being used. If this cat pulled you in, you likely value autonomy deeply. You want to feel capable, effective, in control of your direction. And that's a powerful psychological trait in a culture that rewards initiative. But true individuation, as Jung defined it, is not just about external success. It's about internal integration. It's about aligning your actions with your authentic self, not just your survival instincts. When your drive is conscious rather than reactive, it becomes transformative rather than exhausting. So if you chose cat number 3, your strength is momentum. You are wired for movement, for change, for creating your own narrative. Your growth lies in learning that pausing is not weakness. Reflection does not erase ambition. When action and self-awareness finally work together, you stop running on impulse and start moving with purpose. If you chose cat number 4, you were drawn to mystery. This cat doesn't immediately reveal itself. Maybe it's partially turned away. Maybe its expression is unreadable. Maybe there's something slightly distant in its gaze, as if it exists in its own world. It doesn't demand attention, and yet it holds it effortlessly. Carl Jung believed that what feels mysterious to us often reflects the deeper layers of our unconscious, the parts of ourselves we haven't fully explored. Choosing this cat suggests that you are connected to complexity. You are not satisfied with surface-level explanations. You sense that people are more than what they show, and you know you are too. There is depth in you that not everyone gets access to. Jung spoke extensively about the concept of the shadow, the hidden aspects of the personality that we suppress, deny, or simply don't recognize. Cat number 4 represents comfort with ambiguity. You may not need constant clarity to feel stable. In fact, you might even feel at home in uncertainty. You understand that identity is layered, that emotions can contradict each other, that strength and vulnerability can coexist. Others might sometimes misinterpret you. They may think you're detached, or hard to read, or unpredictable. But what they're really sensing is internal depth. You don't broadcast every thought. You don't perform every feeling. You process privately. However, Jung would remind you that depth without expression can become isolation. When you keep too much inside, people may struggle to connect with you, not because you lack emotion, but because you filter it carefully. You might value independence not just as freedom, but as protection. You may have learned early on that revealing too much leads to misunderstanding, so you refined yourself. You became selective, intentional, controlled. That control is powerful, but it can also become a barrier. The lesson of Cat 4 is not to abandon your depth. It is to share it strategically. Mystery is magnetic, but connection requires moments of transparency. If this cat resonated with you, you likely possess strong intuition. You read between lines. You sense motives beneath words. You notice subtle emotional shifts that others overlook. Jung believed that intuitive individuals often feel slightly out of sync with fast-paced, surface-driven environments. You might sometimes feel like you're operating on a different frequency, and that's not a flaw. It's a sign of psychological complexity, but integration is key. True wholeness comes when your inner world and outer expression are no longer divided. So, if you chose cat number 4, your strength is depth. You are comfortable with nuance, with paradox, with layers. Your growth lies in allowing others to see enough of your inner world to truly know you. Mystery is powerful, but when depth is shared with intention, it becomes connection instead of distance. Now step back for a moment and look at what just happened. You chose a cat, a simple image, a number on a screen, and yet behind that choice, there was instinct. There was emotion. There was something in you that reacted before logic had time to interfere. Carl Jung believed that these subtle preferences are not accidents. They are signals, small windows into the architecture of our inner world. But here's the deeper truth. None of these cats define you completely. They reflect tendencies, not limits. They highlight patterns, not prisons. You are not just the observer, or the empath, or the driven one, or the mysterious one. You are all of them in different moments, under different pressures, at different stages of your life. The real lesson isn't about which number you picked, it's about awareness. When you understand your patterns, you gain power over them. When you recognize your emotional reflexes, they stop unconsciously controlling your decisions. Jung called this process individuation, the lifelong journey of integrating every part of yourself, even the parts you once ignored or misunderstood. The quiet side, the intense side, the guarded side, the compassionate side. Growth begins the moment you stop judging those parts and start understanding them. Because self-knowledge doesn't shrink you, it expands you. So instead of asking, did I choose the right cat? Ask something more important. What does this reveal about how I move through the world? Do you hold back when you should step forward? Do you give too much when you should protect your energy? Do you keep running when you need to pause? Do you hide depth when you crave connection? The power of reflection is not in labeling yourself. It's in adjusting consciously. The more aware you become of your internal patterns, the more intentional your external life becomes. And maybe that's the real takeaway here. You are not fixed. You are not one trait. You are not one reaction. You are a dynamic system of instincts, experiences, wounds, strengths, and evolving choices. The moment you start observing yourself honestly, without denial, without ego, without fear, you begin shaping your future instead of repeating your past. That is where transformation lives. Not in the image you chose, but in what you decide to do with what you now understand about yourself. If this video made you pause and reflect, don't let this be where the journey ends. Psychology is not about quick answers, it's about continuous awareness. So take one small action right now that keeps you moving in that direction. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content that challenges how you see yourself and the people around you. These videos are designed to make you think differently, notice patterns you've ignored, and understand the deeper layers of human behavior. When you subscribe, you're not just following a channel, you're committing to understanding your own mind at a higher level. If you found this insight valuable, leave a like. That simple click tells the algorithm that this kind of psychological exploration matters, and it helps more people discover content that encourages self-awareness instead of surface-level noise. And I'm genuinely curious, which number did you choose? Drop it in the comments, 1, 2, 3, or 4. No explanations needed unless you want to share. Just the number. Let's see which energy resonates most in this community. And before you leave, don't stop here. There's another video waiting for you on the card right now that dives even deeper into hidden personality patterns and unconscious behaviors. If this one opened a door, the next one goes further. You can also explore the full psychology playlist curated on the channel. It's structured to gradually expand your understanding of behavior, identity, and emotional patterns step by step. If you made it all the way to the end, that already says something about you. So comment your number below. Check out the video on the card and continue the exploration, because the more you understand your mind, the more control you gain over your life.